I always believed strange things happened to other people, the kind of stories you hear once and forget. But that night, standing alone in my small apartment, the air itself seemed to glitch, like reality was hesitating. When the message appeared, not on my phone but reflected faintly across the mirror, I felt something shift inside me. Welcome, Player 07. I didn't accept anything, didn't sign up, didn't press a button, but the system didn't care. My phone vibrated with an app that shouldn't exist, one I couldn't remove, one that seemed to know me better than I knew myself. The countdown began instantly, silent but suffocating, ticking somewhere deeper than sound. That's when I understood something was wrong, not just with my phone, but with the world around me. Because whatever this was, it had already started, and I was already inside it.by morning. The world hadn't changed, but I had. Everything looked normal until I noticed the marks, faint, glowing indicators hovering above random objects and people, like invisible tags leaking through reality. I tried to ignore them, but the more I noticed, the clearer they became. Then the rule appeared, do not be seen noticing the marks. It didn't make sense, until someone noticed me. A man on the bus locked eyes with me for just a second too long, his expression tightening with something close to fear. He saw it, the moment I reacted. And instantly, my phone updated, he saw you noticing. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a game you could pause or escape. It was watching how you behaved, and punishing you for getting it wrong. I didn't think I'd meet anyone else like me, and not until Kai sat across from me like he'd been expecting me the entire time. There was no introduction, no confusion, just recognition. He already knew. The moment he showed me the shifting numbers beneath his skin, I realized this wasn't just happening to me. There were others, players pulled into something they didn't understand, forced to follow rules that kept changing. But what unsettled me most wasn't what Kai said, it was how he said it. Calm, controlled, like someone who had already survived things I hadn't seen yet. When he warned me not to look at the person watching us, I felt it immediately, that presence, heavy and focused. I didn't turn around. I didn't breathe too loudly. Because suddenly, I understood, being seen in this game didn't mean being noticed. It meant being marked. Kai called it the layer, a system hidden beneath reality, something always there but never meant to be seen. Once I noticed it, I couldn't unsee it. Lines stretched through the air like pathways connecting everything, people, places, movements, like the world was running on invisible code. The rules updated again, do not alter the layer. But how could I not, when I could see it shifting? One path led directly to me. Another to Kai. And then there was a third, moving, adjusting, tracking. It wasn't random. It was following us. The realization settled in slowly, but once it did, it refused to leave. This wasn't just a system we were inside. It was something alive, something adaptive. And whatever controlled it, had already found us. We never saw him directly at first, only in reflections, distortions, broken surfaces. A figure that didn't belong, moving in ways that didn't follow logic. Kai called him the Collector, and the name alone carried weight. He wasn't chasing us the way a person would. He wasn't hunting. He was correcting. Every time we tried to move unpredictably, the world shifted, doors led nowhere, streets looped back on themselves, conversations repeated like broken recordings. The environment wasn't failing. It was adjusting to keep us within limits. And then I understood the worst part, this wasn't chaos. It was control. The Collector wasn't here to find us. He was here because we had already gone too far. The moment the system went silent was the moment everything became louder. No markers. No layer. No rules, until the final one appeared. Rule 0, some players must become systems. It didn't feel like an instruction. It felt like a decision that had already been made. Kai saw it too, and for the first time, his calm broke. The Collector stepped into view, no longer hidden, no longer distorted. And his face, it wasn't unfamiliar. That's when everything froze. Not slowed. Not paused. Frozen. The air, the sound, even time itself seemed to collapse inward. And in that stillness, I realized something terrifying. This game was never about surviving. It was about choosing who stops being a player. When I opened my eyes, the world was gone. Not destroyed, just replaced. The layer wasn't hidden anymore. It was everything. Endless structures of light, shifting data, names drifting like echoes of people who once stood where I did. Kai was there, but not really, frozen, suspended, like a memory that hadn't been released yet. And then I understood without being told. I hadn't been chosen to win. I had been chosen to continue it. The system didn't need more players, it needed something to hold it together. Something to watch, to correct, to maintain balance. Something like me. And as that realization settled, cold and permanent, I felt the shift happen. Somewhere far away, someone else's world flickered, and a new message appeared. Welcome, Player 08.